Support for this episode is provided by Acme Tools. You can support my channel by making your next tool purchase at my Acme Tool store. I'll have a link in the description below. This is the white oak tabletop for the table that I'm building. It's made of 5/4 material. 5/4 material generally measures about 1 1/8 inches thick, and I think that looks a little bit heavy, not very elegant for this design. Even if I were to use a round over, it's kind of clunky. So the goal here is to have the edge of the table just about 5/8 of an inch and have a gradual taper. I used a circle jig to make the circle, and I'll put a link to the video that helped me make this jig in the description below. And I'm going to use this same jig to get that gradual taper towards the edge. Starting at the center pivot point, I'll make a mark at each 1/4 of an inch out to 3 inches. Next, I'll drill a pilot hole at each one of those marks. Now I'm going to add my pivot screw 1 space in from the original pivot point. This is going to be my deepest cut, and the cuts will become gradually shallower with each space. I'm using a plunge router to make this cut, and I've set the stop so I don't accidentally cut too deep. And I'll make this first cut in at least 2 passes. Before you get to work with the router, you want to think about cord management. And this is a very simple solution. I've got an extension cord squeeze clamped to the light fixture. My router goes to the extension cord. The extension cord then goes the length of the light fixture, creating this path for me to walk around as I make the cut. I've just completed the first full pass. Next, I'll raise the router a little bit and move it in 1 notch. To raise the router bit, I'll lift it up first. Use this knife, which is just a little bit thinner than 1/16 of an inch. Bring the router back down to the stop. Pull the knife out. Loosen the stop. Push the stop down. Tighten it back up. And now the router bit is just a little less than 1/16 of an inch higher. Here you can see that I've made a few passes. After each pass, I raise the bit up just a little less than 1/16 and move the pivot point in 1 space. I just made the very last pass with the router and it worked out great. It's a very even transition all the way around the bottom of the tabletop. I have tapered tabletop bottoms before using a power plane and a hand plane and sander, but this is definitely a much more precise method. As far as the math, I just kind of winged it and it worked out. I didn't have to use the very last hole that I drilled for a pivot point, but that's okay. The next step is to remove the jig and sand it smooth. Okay, well that definitely took a little bit of time and some work, probably a full hour and 20 minutes of sanding, starting with 50 grit, then 80, then 100, and I still have some work to do, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's a very consistent taper all the way around the bottom of the tabletop, and that's what I was going for. And if you're wondering, why not just use 4/4 material for the tabletop? I really wanted the weight and density of the 5/4. This top probably weighs about 100 and maybe 20 pounds, very heavy, and I think this very subtle taper, when you're looking at the table, will make the difference between something that's sort of normal to hopefully something that's very elegant. And that's what I want to build. So this is going to be a long format project. Hopefully I'll have this project done in 2 weeks. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support the show, you can make your next tool purchase from my Acme tool store. I'll have a link in the description below. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.